hello. How's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. It is Thursday. It's nearly 8 p.m. UK time, and we are live. Obviously, as I said yesterday, I won't be live for the game live reaction because, well, I just basically couldn't. But ultimately, Arsenal, another shambolic, abysmal performance. Arsenal lose 1-0, and again, more questions raised than given answers. Questionable decisions, questionable situations, questionable tactics, and I genuinely believe that Mikel Arteta currently is under the pressure. So, what we're gonna do today for today's plan, basically, we're gonna look at the game, we're gonna talk about the game, we're gonna talk about some transfers, we're gonna talk about some situations surrounding Arsenal, and if we have enough time, we will also gander and, with one eye at least, look at Mikel Arteta's post-game press conference. Let's see what he has said about the game, how everything went, and whether he agrees with everything that happened or not. So basically, that's the plan for today. So if you're new around here, of course, don't forget to smash thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, definitely helps. If you have something to discuss, if you have an opinion on certain things, get live interactive in the chat, or you are watching this as a playback, of course, leave all down in comments below. Of course, I try to answer pretty much to everyone possible, everyone that comments, so basically there's quite a bit to discuss in that regard. Definitely your question won't be left unanswered. But of course, the big one yesterday, Arsenal versus Inter Milan. That was quite to watch, to say the least. It was very questionable game because Arsenal, again, this was one of those games where I was expecting a reaction. I was expecting Arsenal to do something special in a way, because I was genuinely, not gonna lie, expecting a response after the game we saw over the weekend. But of course, it wasn't meant to be, so ultimately, at the end of the day, it was just pure on disappointment. So definitely that wasn't the greatest of games. Arsenal give away a stupid penalty. Of course, the rules compared to Europe, compared to Premier League, a bit different, so definitely that kind of played into hands of in this regard. Obviously, we saw something similar last year between United and PSG, and there were multiple occasions where this has been a thing, so we cannot get mad about that, because let's be real, if the roles were reversed, it would be the same thing, of course. But the big thing is about the game are the results and are the stats, because again, the biggest thing is Arsenal didn't play well. They didn't play well. They created some chances, some situations. Apparently got 1.8 xg. Maybe they could have scored, but they didn't ultimately. They had 20 shots, only 4 on target, so just 5... What is it? 1/5? Yeah, 1/5, so 20% so shooting accuracy in terms of shooting at target. And it was quite awful to watch. No urgency, no situational awareness, no one was in a hurry. It didn't matter if it was 1-0 or 0-0. Arsenal kind of in a way didn't ever look like they're gonna be a proper threat. And they scored at halftime, and let's be real. Let's genuinely be real. Arsenal had 13 corners, which pretty much resulted up to nothing. Arsenal gets said as they are the set piece FC and all that, yet half the time from those set pieces we cannot cross the ball past the first man. Another half the time it was either it was easily cleared, it was a minimal scrap basically. Yes, it got cleared off the line once, but overall it was nothing, genuinely nothing to be excited about. Let's be real, let's say it as it is. It genuinely was nothing to be excited about. And on top of all that, Arsenal completed 44, 43, something like that, crosses during the game. And that again, we crossed the ball. And to who? That is the big question. To who we were crossing the ball? That is the big question. Because we crossed the ball and we are doing that against basically a nation that pretty much is well known and is pretty much taking their pride on their defense. Because in the early 2000s, late 1990s, Italian league was arguably, or not to be honest, was the best league in the world. And one of the biggest things they had, one of the biggest things they were thriving on was their defense. And let's be real, the quality maybe in players has gotten worse. But the fact that Italian teams are again defensively resilient, defensively organized, defensively fantastic, it hasn't gone anywhere. And it pretty much showed yesterday. Especially that German center back Bisek, he was just phenomenal yesterday, let's be real. He was a tank, he was bullying us left, right, and center. And most of the time when we crossed the ball, it got clear. Most of the time it got intercepted. And also the big question is, we just putting random crosses out of nowhere. And it never worked. Martinelli actually, yes, for yesterday, he had some good crosses, let's be real. He actually was cutting back, cutting inside, cutting back, cutting inside, waiting for someone to open up for a cross. But nobody was there. We also only tried the high crosses, which again, in general, was easy pickings for all the defenders that Inter had. We never tried the low cross to mix it up, never tried anything. And ultimately, it resulted in Arsenal losing, and it was another toothless performance, just like we had over the last few weeks, and that is starting to get on nerves. And let's be real, if Arsenal lose on weekend against Chelsea, I think there should finally be some accountability and some heads should start to roll, because nobody's holding Arteta tactics pretty much accountable. Everyone, I've heard some Arsenal fans say, "Oh, we lost because it's the way Italian players drive." That's on the same level as Ty saying we lost because it was raining. So deluded, so genuinely stupid, I'm not gonna lie. It's just dumb and like to the highest level. Inter had 53 clearances. It just shows how organized they were, because we never posed any proper threat during the game. And yeah, maybe we have 63% possession. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. Because what ends at the end of the day is the result on the scoreboard. We might as well could have had 99% of possession, and Inter Milan could have had 1% of the possession. But if at the end of the day, at the end of the game, the result is 1-0 Inter Milan, that 99% possession means nothing. Let's be real. Only thing that matters at the end of the game is the scoreboard. We had 20 shots, sounds cool on paper, but only 4 on target. Inter had 1 shot on target, and that was the penalty, and that's all it took for them to score. Genuinely, that was all it took for them to score. So, I don't know where Arsenal goes from here. Genuinely don't know where Arsenal goes from here. Because while we were losing and everything, Arteta decided to throw on Gabriel Jesus at halftime. He took off Merino, who was having another shocking game. Why we signed him, I have no idea. Genuinely, he makes me miss Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka compared to Mikel Merino looks like prime Pirlo pretty much. Let's be real, because he can't do, at the moment at least, definitely, he can't even do half of what Granit Xhaka could have done. And he wasn't even the best midfielder at Real Sociedad. Obviously, the number 1 midfielder in Real Sociedad is Zubimendi. And it's even a struggle to put him as the second best midfielder at Real Sociedad, because the second best one, in my opinion, is Brais Mendes. So arguably, we basically signed a backup dancer for 30 plus million from Real Sociedad, who at the moment is asked to play a role in Arsenal's midfield, a very significant role, and he basically is falling short, to say the least. He is very, very, very poor. And then in the 82nd minute, when we are trying to score goals and everything, we sub on Zinchenko, as if that's gonna help. Especially it got me worried because Timber came off, we sub on Zinchenko, and then he has to play against Dumfries. Like, as that would be a fair matchup. Because Inter didn't do anything. They didn't have to do anything. They scored their goal, they sat back. If they had a chance, they would hit us on a counter. That's all they had to do. They executed their game plan to perfection. Another 5 at the back we need to break down. Another 5 at the back we couldn't break down. And that is, at the end of the day, that's it. There was lack of ideas, lack of tactics, lack of changes. Arteta generally has no plan B, plan C, plan D during the game. And half the time when the camera was looking at him, he looked genuinely clueless. Genuinely clueless, to say the least. He had that deer in headlights look. Nothing more, nothing less. And that is actually starting to be very, very, very worrying thing. Because on top of all that, Inter Milan put out a B team. They didn't put their best players also on the pitch. They all were holding the bench, because during the weekend they have the top of the table clash against Napoli, against Conte, another manager I would have wanted at Arsenal. Yet at the same time, people say, "Oh, what he did at Spurs." He's at the moment at the top of La Liga. He has won. He has won stuff. Let's be real. There's no argument about that. Obviously, people say the bright news is that Odegaard got subbed on in 90th minute, but it also is like I have mixed feelings about this. Because yes, we want Odegaard to get some minutes so he can most likely start against Chelsea, because that is what Arteta will do. Most likely, he's very predictable in that regard. And what we did, we put him on, tried to create something and everything, but nothing seemed to work. And I think it also was, in a way, a forced substitution. We put Ethan Vanieri. Ethan Vanieri in 10 minutes did more than Trossard all game, until he got taken off. That drop of the shoulder from Vanieri was beautiful. He runs into open space and he takes a shot. Yes, that shot went into row Z pretty much. He kicked it out of the San Siro. Yet at the same time, it was much more than Trossard did the whole game. Trossard was absolutely awful. And still Arteta insists on playing him as a number 10. We have a number 10 in Ethan Vanieri. But obviously, over the 5 years, we have seen enough to tell that Mikel Arteta doesn't trust youth players. We have seen that. He can play their odd game here or there in a cup game, in the lower ends, but ultimately he doesn't trust them. Because Saka, he didn't bring up Saka, he didn't bring up Emil Smith-Rowe, it was all Emery. The only young player he has brought up, well, technically also Skelly, is Vanieri. And at the time when he sells Emil Smith-Rowe, he loans out Fabio Vieira. I'm not saying they are good options, especially in Fabio Vieira, but they were options to have if something happens to Martin Odegaard. Now we would have to rely on the 17-year-old Ethan Vanieri, who has showed, obviously it's only Bolton, it's only Preston and everything, but he has showed that he can do the job. What can he do in a game when you sub him on in 80th minute, when you're losing 1-0, 2-0, and you basically say, go, save us? What message does that send to him? What message does that send to other youngsters who are trying to grow and get into our first team through the academy? It's no wonder that Chido Obi Martin left, that Omari Hutchinson partially didn't want to play here. It's no wonder that Emil Smith-Rowe also left, because Mikel Arteta last year in January didn't sell him by saying that he has a crucial role to play in Arsenal's title charge. But what we see over the second part of the season last year, he played game against Luton at home, where he was man of the match, let's be real, and besides that, he pretty much all the time held bench, and he got subbed on to the last 15-20 minutes for some random cameos. It's also no wonder that he basically said, okay, peace out, I'm out of here, I don't care. It's no wonder that he did that. And now to insist that Trossard plays in 10, because it's no wonder also that Trossard cannot get into proper form, because half the time he has to play in 10, half the time he has to play on the wing, then he has to play somewhere else, and he actually also has no idea what's going on. Yes, he's bare off the bench. I think we can all agree on that. Definitely. Off the bench as an impact sub, there are players that are like that, and you need those also in the team just in case something happens. Big up BBK Sports. Yeah, sure did. Trossard was so poor. It was shocking. How he has 6.7 rating is also a very big shock, because if it was up to me, I would give everyone a 5 or less. Yes, we tried to do something, but ultimately, there was no ideas, no urgency, no inspiration, no spark, no fire, just like the previous games. Genuinely, just like against Newcastle, just like against Bournemouth. It's the same thing. In the last 4 games, we have gotten 1 point. 1 point in 4 games, in the last 4 games. Where pretty much, we all said before, when October international break ended, we said, we need to win every single game if we want to have a chance to win the title. Maybe something can happen against Chelsea. Maybe it can be a draw. Maybe, at worst. And now we are sitting here with dropping point. No, sorry, we would win against Chelsea and we would draw against Liverpool. Well, we have drawn against Liverpool. We have gotten 1 point from there. But in the time we have lost to Bournemouth, we have lost to Newcastle, we just lost to Inter Milan. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I have no indication, I have very little hope for the game against Chelsea at the Bridge. Especially that it's at the Bridge, it's not at Emirates even. So I have no idea what's gonna happen. Because sooner or later the penny has to drop. And Kroenkes must look at this and think, what the hell is going on? They need to start keeping Arteta accountable for this. Because in a month he will be 5 years in charge. And we have seen in the last, I would say, year and a half, 2 years, no development. And over the last 5 years, we haven't seen development in Martinelli, in Saka, in players that arguably at the time we said will be our main centerpieces to get it over the line at some point. The 5-year, 6-year project. But at the moment, the way we are going about things, we're gonna start all this process all over again sooner or later. And when Edu said in an interview some months ago that it was a challenge when he became the sporting director at Arsenal. There were subpar players that are not good enough, sitting on high wages, and something needs to be done. And now if we look at our team, our bench, not good enough. Players like Kivior, Sterling, of course, Zinchenko, Jesus, who else was there? Other players that are not good enough. Again, they are at the team. They are sitting on ultra high wages, and pretty much we are where we began. Overpaid players that are not good enough, and pretty much impossible to get off our hands. And what we're gonna do? We're gonna do what Arsenal are the best at: terminating contracts, paying them off. We have done it already multiple times. And currently we are doing that with Edu as well, by the way. We're gonna get into that in a second. So, at the moment, as much as they want to preach the project, the process, the boxes, whatever Mikel Arteta means by that, we are back in phase 1 pretty much. This is reminiscent of Wenger days, in the twilight of Wenger days. But mind you, even in Wenger twilight days, we won titles. We won trophies. We won the FA Cups. We still did that. At the moment, we have won one FA Cup, which even wasn't with Arteta's squad. It was with Emery/Wenger's squad, which was deemed toxic and negative. And now when he has spent over 700 million, we are back where we were, in top 4. We were where we pretty much were when we sacked Wenger. With very small indication that we will win a title, that we might actually win anything. So if you look over the last 5 years, almost nothing has changed. Genuinely, almost nothing has changed. Yes, you could say we have better quality of players, but it doesn't translate on the pitch. And now this pretty much solely falls on Mikel Arteta, in my opinion. Yes, Edu could have done a better job with the money. Yes, he could have signed better players. But at the moment, given the stronghold Arteta has on Arsenal, based on all the reports and what we're seeing with increased roles when he's making key decisions, I'm starting slowly to believe that the biggest reason why Edu resigned at the moment and is going to Nottingham Forest is Mikel Arteta. Because there definitely has to be some fallout after all these things. It cannot fly like that. Because when we signed Merino, and when we even were going after Calafiori partially, there were multiple reports saying that there is a struggle, a power struggle in hierarchy, saying that everyone's not agreeing that Merino is the right option to be signed. I was one of those. I wanted Fabian Ruiz personally. I'm gonna be honest with you. And now, a few months later, we see that Edu is leaving. Wilshere also has left. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but he's also leaving. And now, at the end of the season, Jorginho's contract runs out, Partey's contract runs out, which means, again, there's a big possibility that if we don't re-sign them, we will be 2 players short in the midfield. Which means we will have to rebuild once again. I'm sorry, but if the 800 nearly million, it's over 700 million, we have spent, wasn't meant to prevent that, to buy the players we need for the longevity of the team to develop, to win, and to grow, then what was it for? Let's be real, because nothing indicates that. We are back where we were. We are back on first step of the ladder again. And I'm scared at the moment as an Arsenal fan. Genuinely scared. Because I'm starting to see parallel lines with the ones that, again, as I said, we saw with Wenger. Wenger also gained lots of control at Arsenal. We got comfortable top 4 almost every season. We got FA Cups here or there. Arteta doesn't get those, let's be real. And biggest reason why we sacked Wenger arguably was because we fell out of top 4. because all of a sudden Kroenkes didn't get the money they could have gotten because Europa League pays way less than Champions League. And now Arteta is the same boat. Because Wenger was the last line of defense for Kroenkes, now Arteta will be the last line of defense for Kroenkes. And if in January, for example, it's less than 2 months away, we don't sign the proper players, we might not even salvage top 4 if we keep playing like this. We don't have a Dubai break where we go eat someone else's meat, pause, and all that stuff to basically, I don't know, rekindle some players, to change tactics or everything. It feels like Arteta overthinks things. He has very big PTSD. He's a massive control freak. It's his way or the highway. And partially it starts to me feel that way because, not partially, I'm kind of confident in that way. Because until we started to play this controlled way last season, we were seeing quite, how to say this? I don't want to say expensive attacking football because we saw that in the third season, but we saw some sort of a development in players. We saw them playing with spark in their eyes, with taking on the man, with attacking, driving, gliding with the ball, attacking, actually not being scared of certain things. Now that we have spent around 200 million on our defense, there should be the argument to be made that Bukayo Saka should not be defending and covering White's ass. Martinelli should not be defending and covering Timber's or Calafiori's or whoever is at left back's ass. They shouldn't be doing that, let's be real. Yet a month ago, an interview with Bukayo Saka came out saying that Mikel Arteta insists, genuinely insists, that the attackers of Arsenal, first things first, think about defending and only then think about attacking. Like, what was the point in having the best defense in the league? That was the sole reason. If we have this so-called incredible defense, why our attackers need to defend? Why can you not let the shackles off of them and actually go back? Let them play expansive, exciting football like they used to play 2 seasons ago. Because we were 8 points clear that season, that in that January transfer window. What we did, we signed Kiwior. We signed Trossard. Okay, that was cool. That made me think maybe we actually can go for it. Then we signed Kiwior, Jorginho, players like that, and it all goes down the Swanee pretty much. Let's be real. Then Arteta gets scared, gets PTSD of those days, and then goes from one end of the spectrum with attacking football to the other end of the spectrum, complete total control and defense. Yes, we get controlled defense. Yes, we had the best defense in the league. Yes, we scored the record-breaking goals. Yet at the same time, at the end of the season, we won nothing again. We have binned all the cups. We have basically nothing to show for it. Nobody remembers the team who finishes second or third in the league. The only team that people remember is the winners. Let's be real. So what are we gonna do now? We have no balance in the team. We look toothless. Our midfield is unbalanced. Our attack is toothless. Our defense is leaking goals left, right, and center. It's like they have forgotten how to do certain aspects of the game all of a sudden. In one summer, they don't know how to defend. They don't know how to attack. They don't know how to shoot, create, do anything. And yes, partially it might be the case with the fact that Arteta has overplayed the players. Because most of our players, pretty much, play also one of the big and main roles in their national teams. That is also the case. Which means more often than not, they will be called up to their national team. So at the end of the day, you need to have a proper rotation. But when you look at our bench, there's almost pretty much nobody, personally, I would trust to sub on to change and impact the game. Jesus, he's washed, he needs to go, he needs to start learning Arabic or something and get lost. Zinchenko needs to go, Kiwior needs to go, pretty much whole bench needs to go. We have almost nobody we can sub on to impact the game, especially in the attack. Yes, we have depth in defense, but already this season we have seen that our defense is very shaky. We have seen games where Partey plays right back once again. As soon as White is injured, Timber is injured, Calafiori is injured at the same time, we have nobody to play there. So what was the point in spending 200 million nearly on defense? Like, what are we doing here? Arteta has spent only 70 something million on the attack. Genuinely, only 70 something million on the attack. 45 on Jesus, 28 on Trossard, that's 73, and well, 3 on Marquinhos, that's 76 million. Havertz is a midfielder, Arteta said it himself. So basically, what this means, we have completely squandered all the money Kroenkes have given Arteta and Edu. And on top of that, it was also Inter Milan's B team pretty much. And this whole starting 11 Inter had yesterday cost less than we signed Declan Rice for. Let that sink in. Arsenal are scary, scintillating, dangerous, destructive team. So who's scared against us? Not Inter, they were laughing at the end of the game. It was like 10-15 minutes to go in the game and they were sitting on the bench and laughing their asses off. Were they scared? No, they were confident they're gonna win. Because it was again evidence shown that we will do nothing. So what are we doing actually here? Genuinely, what is this team doing? When actually Arteta is gonna get held accountable, like properly? Like Kroenkes, if they actually are serious about winning the title and everything, they should go to Arteta and say, listen, it's not looking good. We give you 3 games to change things or your head rolls and get in a different manager. Because at this stage, at least I have very little hope something will change. There is maybe 1% chance that when Odegaard comes back, everything will click. But that doesn't mean that he cannot get injured again. Saka cannot get injured. Some other players cannot get injured. That doesn't kind of mask that fact. And if that happens, again, we are screwed. And then there will be all the excuses. Oh, but he was injured. Oh, but they are injured. Oh, we didn't have the best players. Stop with the excuses maybe for once. And that kind of goes to most of the Arsenal's fan base. Held actually players, Arteta accountable for what they have done. Because yesterday's game is on Arteta. Previous games is on Arteta as well. For now 2 years we have seen teams do more or less the same things against Arsenal, and we still haven't found a way to counter it, a way around it, a plan B, plan C, plan D to unlock the defense on opposing teams who play mid-block, low block, 5 at the back. We still haven't figured a way. And on top of that, to make, in 5 years in charge, make the same mistakes pretty much every single game, that's inexcusable. That's sackable offense on its own. Like, this is not serious. This club genuinely feels like they are not serious about winning whatsoever. What do you think about Havertz's performance yesterday? Well, Havertz was average. Whole team was average overall. Havertz is as well the best place where we can play him, where he can be most effective, let's just say, put it that way, is the number 9 spot. But the way Arteta sees it, he needs to play as a number 9, as a number 10, as a right winger, and at the end of the day, he doesn't have, similarly like Trossard, one position he needs to be in and needs to be properly to be technically a specialist in. He gets all confused. Similarly like Trossard, it's no wonder they cannot get proper string of games. So ultimately, it basically leads up to this. This is the pass map against Newcastle. Have you noticed that there is no striker on the top of this triangle? Most of the passes we did, for example, against Newcastle were between center backs and midfield, and Partey to Saka. Those were the biggest amount of passes we made. And random occasion midfield passes into Havertz or into Trossard or into Merino or to wingers. Genuinely, no urgency, no directness, no nothing. And we have seen this almost every single game for like 4 or 5 games now. And let's be real, people say, oh, it's just few games. No, it's not. It's the whole season. It's just the fact that we got lucky sometimes. And overall, basically at the moment, the results are catching up to performances. Because we haven't played good almost whatsoever this season. Against PSG was the best game, and one half against Liverpool. Rest of the games we have been crap. And finally, the results of the games are catching up to the performances. We are losing points, we are dropping games, dropping results. Last year we won 28 games, drew 5 and lost 5. This season, in 10 games only in Premier League, we already have drawn 3 and lost 2. We have already fulfilled half of the quota we did last year. It's genuinely not looking good. It's not looking good whatsoever. And people, top gooners and all them, man, are full with excuses. No accountability for the actions. So what can you expect, ultimately, to change if nobody's getting held accountable? Imagine if in my job I screw up something massively. I lose a massive deal, right? And my boss says, oh well, on to the next one. Better luck next time. Like, does that do something for me? Yes, cool, I kept my job. But there's no accountability. That means that the next time I can risk it, and if it happens again, and there will be no consequences. But if you're in a proper job, you will get sacked pretty much instantly. Yes, it could be a one-off, but if it continues time after time after time, instantly, you're out. That's it, we're gonna get a new guy in. But here, no, there were excuses. Oh, he's injured. Oh, he didn't look good. Oh, he was asked to play a different role. Oh, the pitch was wet. Oh, it's the way Italians drive. That's the excuses I'm hearing at the moment. Like, this is not serious. Genuinely not serious. I'm trying to kind of keep my emotions all together to not get too emotional, start to rant like insane, swear and all that stuff. And it's very hard because I want to win. We have been there nearly 2 years in a row. We've been the leaders until the end of the season almost, and we've been the chasers till the end of the season. And none of those times we got it over the line. Even season before that, when we finished 5th, we were in the prime position to finish 4th, and we even balled that. Like, what can we do here? What actually can be done here to change anything? Because at the moment it looks like we're gonna keep sinking like this. And if we lose to Chelsea on Sunday, it's gonna be hell on earth. I can already tell you that much. Let's be real. But anyways, those were my thoughts on the game, my rant and everything. So let's get into some other business and another talk so we can basically kind of try and divert our attention from the mess, basically. Anyhow, first things first, on top of the list. Apparently, according to transfer rumors today, and yesterday as well, Arsenal want to sell Polish defender Jakub Kiwior in January. This all firstly came out from Tutto Mercato in Italy, but at the moment it's kind of picking up the pace and it's not just there. So in this instance, it's actually some good news, because I generally don't believe that he is good enough. He shouldn't even be signed in the first place. 8 million for him, for what? Genuinely, for what? Why did we even sign him? We signed him in the January transfer window when we were 8 points clear on the table. And ultimately, we didn't even play him in the key moments. We played Rob Holding and we all saw how that went. And when we played him against Sporting when Saliba got injured and everything, and in other games, he was tying shoelaces in our goalkeeper's 6-yard box while the opposing team was scoring. We got sold PR dreams that he has broken Theo Walcott's sprint records, yet on the pitch he looks slower than Per Mertesacker used to. I don't know what Arsenal were even doing signing him, what they were thinking. It's one of those signings, 30 million out of those nearly 200 million we have spent on defense, that we have wasted. Because I did the math the other day. Arsenal have spent nearly 700 million, properly, net. And about 320 to 340 million of those, was complete waste. Signing Fabio Vieira, signing Pablo Mari, signing Runnerson, Ryan, signing Kiwior, and players like that, Marquinhos. It's just embarrassing. And just imagine if we actually had invested that money properly, what team we could have right now. If we actually signed the proper players, proper backups for certain positions, we could have won the title 2 years in a row. Genuinely, we could have done it 2 years ago, we could have done it last year. If we actually did things properly. But the thing is with Arsenal, if it makes sense, they won't do it. Let's be real. That's the way I see it. And it's been like that for years now. And that is as annoying as it is. And on top of that, the news started to come out about Victor Gyökeres of Sporting Lisbon, who, by the way, beat Man City. Destroyed Man City. And we have to go there after international break. Remember last time we faced Lisbon Sporting away, how that went? We barely got a draw, a very lucky draw. Remember when we went away to Porto? That went well. And the way they are playing at the moment, Sporting Lisbon, even though Amorim at the time will be at the United, is the same team. It will be very similar tactics, if not the same. I have no belief that we're going to win that game. Yet at the same time, as an Arsenal fan, I should be looking at this game and saying, cool, we should be getting 3 points there. We have games left against Sporting Lisbon away, Monaco, Dinamo Zagreb, and Girona. Dinamo Zagreb and Girona should be wins. The rest of those 2 games, I have no belief that we're gonna win. Monaco haven't lost a game yet in Champions League. Sporting Lisbon, legitimately, it feels like they never lose. Gyökeres scores 1, 2, 3 goals every single bloody game. Like, it's basically meant to be that we are doomed, because in Champions League at the moment as well, we are 12th if I'm not mistaken. We are basically in the extra elimination round. And if you look at the table at the moment, midway through Champions League, right? In that elimination round, there's Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid as well. There are massive teams in there, and those are teams you genuinely don't want to face in those rounds. So if we keep this up, we might as well stay there. And we might actually get one of the biggest teams in the world to play against us, and there is no chance we are getting past them. Let's be real. And Victor Gyökeres has 100 million release clause in his contract. We know that. 85 million pounds. But it's understood that he has a gentleman's agreement with Sporting to allow the player to leave for a lower fee next summer. Sporting could accept a bid between 75 to 85 million euros, which is about 63 to 70 million pounds. That is the price they could accept next summer, which at the moment puts almost every single big team in the conversation. Because while it was like 85 million, you could argue there are maybe a few teams who will pay that because they need him. Now, many teams can be instantly looking to upgrade without shadow of a doubt, looking at their best striker thinking, maybe he's not good enough, we might sell him and get Gyökeres. And this release, obviously, this agreement allegedly kicks in summer only, which means in January, he still has those 85 million pound release clauses. So if Arsenal have any ambition, any hope that we can do anything still this year, and Arteta is willing to stop being so stubborn, generally stubborn, and actually change the tactics so we can play some more free-flowing attack, we will get him. Let's be real. But knowing Arsenal, the hope is Gyökeres. The reality most likely will be Šeško or someone else. We all know that. We all know how Arsenal operate the transfer window. So, do I have any trust we can get this deal done? Sadly, I don't. Let's be real. Now, and this is the biggest issue with Arsenal. Arsenal in away matches in the Champions League in 2024. We didn't score against Porto. We lost 1-0. We didn't even look like scoring. We didn't even have a shot on target. We lost 1-0 to Bayern Munich. We drew against Atalanta, which was another pathetic game we played. We didn't do anything pretty much. And we just lost to Inter Milan. So we haven't scored against big teams in Europe whatsoever. Yes, we have scored some away goals against... we scored against, Sevilla, PSV, teams like that. But as soon as some teams with Champions League heritage and experience, with proper managers and tactics come against us, we're useless. Let's be real. And we still need to play Sporting away. Only away game at the moment where I can see a scoring away goal is on January 28th, if I'm not mistaken. And that is against Girona. But then again, we don't know what's gonna happen by then. Generally, it's 2.5 months away. We don't know what's gonna happen by then. We might have injuries. They might have injuries. They might sign someone. We might sign someone. Arteta might still be here. Arteta might not. We don't know. We genuinely don't know what's gonna be happening by then. Yet at the same time, looking at our away form, especially against teams that have heritage in Champions League and experience there, it's looking hell embarrassing, isn't it? For a team that fans overhype like crazy. The PR is nuts for Arsenal, and the fans are daring to say that Arsenal are scary, scintillating and dangerous. We barely can yield 2-3 shots on target away, and we cannot even score. Like, this is next level of embarrassing, let's be real. Next level of embarrassing. We need a striker. We need a backup for Saka. We need a proper left winger as well, let's be real at the moment. Yet Arteta doesn't feel that way. He's probably gonna sign another goddamn left back in January, let's be real. Another defender, most likely. That's how embarrassing and that's how much I believe in Arsenal. And this is the big thing. Arsenal attempted 46 goddamn crosses against Inter Milan last night. 46 crosses. It's like we have Shawcross to send up front. We have Peter Crouch in the box, or players like that can actually get to the header. Because Italian teams, basically, they can defend high crosses with their eyes closed, and Inter demonstrated that. There was never a scramble, never any panic. They always knew where they were, and they always were in control. 46 goddamn crosses. And to add to that, as I said before, you could see Martinelli at times. He put in some decent crosses here or there. And let's be real, he was even cutting back, holding on to position, stopping his dribble at times, just to wait and see if anyone's gonna open up for a cross. And obviously no one ever did. Like, 46 goddamn crosses. Like, Paella Pulis. Genuinely. Arteta Pulis we have. That's all we have. The thing is, we don't even have anyone to cross the ball to. We have Kai Havertz up top, who half the time spends in the midfield, and by the time cross comes in, he's not even near the box. And that was also issue last year, the year before, and even when we had Lacazette. Many times we crossed the ball, and by the time the ball was somewhere in the middle of the penalty box, Lacazette was only running, he was on the edge of the box, because he couldn't get there. But obviously, and it's pretty evident at the moment, that it's not because he's too slow or too old, it's the tactics Arteta has set up to. Because as Bukayo Saka stated a month ago in an interview, Arteta wants his attackers to defend first and only then think about attack. And it pretty much shows, let's be real. It genuinely shows when we are attacking. That's how bad it is, let's be real. But don't worry guys, we just lost a game, Rice is injured, and Arsenal of course, just to pick up the mood, new kits, new merchandise is out. We have rolled out this year more merchandise that we have scored away goals in Champions League. No kidding, by the way, no kidding. That's not a joke, that's not even banter. We genuinely have rolled out more kits, more merchandise this season than we have scored away goals in Champions League. That's how bad we are. We have more merchandise that we have suffered losses this season. We lost to Bayern Munich, we lost to Aston Villa, we lost to Bournemouth, and we lost to Newcastle. 4 teams this year. And Inter Milan. Okay, 5. We lost to 5 teams this year. We have rolled out merchandise this season about 7 or 8 times already. 7 or 8 times. And you just know that Top Gunners will gonna eat it up, say, oh, how good it looks, the color scheme is just chef's kiss, Picasso, I love it, and all that crap. and they instantly gonna go and buy it. Like, until something changes, until fans start to act up, their protests, boycotts, they stop buying this merchandise and everything, until we as a fan base stop funding and it starts to hit Kroenkes on the pocket, nothing I don't think ever will change. Nothing ever will change. And that's the thing. Because the biggest decision, one of the biggest decisions Kroenkes made by basically making Arsene Wenger leave, was only then when we fell out of Champions League and we finished 5th and we were in Europa League. Because that hit from Champions League to Europa League hits your pocket pretty hard, let's be real. And it happened only then. So only option that something is gonna change at Arsenal is when we're gonna finish out of top 4. Obviously, if we keep playing like this, we might not even finish in top 4 or even top 6, let's be real. But we most likely gonna scrape top 4. We most likely gonna scrape that just because we have the better team, we have the quality in the team overall. At least our starting 11 does. Our bench is useless, but our starting 11 does. We might do it by then, but overall, it's looking very bleak. Very bleak. Prepare yourselves, Arsenal fans, for very long, very excruciating, painful, and very, very questionable season. It genuinely looks that way. Even Thierry Henry wasn't happy. One of our kings, our GOAT at the club, a guy who has a guy who has a statue outside the Emirates, said that he's not happy with Arsenal. Right now, they are not challenging for the league, as you can see. The results are not good enough to be at the top. Let's be real, there we nowhere. We barely are good to be in top 4 at the moment. Nottingham, we are 5th, by the way. Forest are above us, and Chelsea even are above us. My issue, and we've talked about this since matchday 2, away from home, I don't think it was good enough. Give me a second. And it's just not good enough. That's it. And we're getting away with it for a very long time. We are not now we are not anymore. So let's see what happens against Chelsea. And that is the thing. I've been saying this the whole goddamn season. It's not good enough. It's genuinely not good enough. We've been getting away with this crap throughout the whole season and even partially last season. Especially in the first part of the season. We were getting away pretty much with a murder. Genuinely. No jokes, no nothing. Straight facts. And Thierry Henry even sees that. So how comes top gooners don't see that? If even our GOAT, our King Thierry Henry of the Arsenal Football Club, a legend in our club, is saying that. We genuinely, finally, the results have caught up to performances. And there's nothing to suggest that it will change. And if it doesn't change, the game against Chelsea could genuinely send Arsenal fan base in an overdrive, and this next what's its face international break will be very long, very, very dark and gloom, and could get very toxic. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think they'll be out the race. I think they will be extremely different because you have too many teams to catch. I don't see 2 teams collapsing. That's my issue. And that is the case. Yes, I think either Liverpool or City might collapse, but both won't. On top of that, it's already been reported and more or less confirmed that City is going to go in January transfer market. They're most likely going to go after Zubimendi and most likely going to go for Retegui to have a backup for Haaland and to have a Rodri replacement, because Rodri is out until at least next year's August, September. He's gonna be out until then at least. So they're definitely gonna buy players to be in it. And they don't need much, let's be real, they need 1-2 players and they're back in it. Because they only need Rodri back and it's pretty much safe and sound for them. And we saw that Zubimendi can do the job, for at least for Spain, definitely. But this was very interesting, as by the way. Following match day 4, the 24-25 Champions League, we have the latest Opta supercomputer projections for the league phase. And this is a big one, by the way. This is a big one at the moment because here it is. Here it is. Distribution of points after 50,000 simulations showing likelihood of teams finishing with 1 point. And this is showing where Arsenal most likely is gonna finish. Most likely they were gonna finish on 14 points. Yeah, then maybe 16, maybe 17. But they're gonna finish very, very, very low. Genuinely. 14 points. 14 points. How wild is that? Only 14 points. I actually cannot imagine Arsenal finishing only on 14 points, according to this Opta supercomputer. That means we're gonna finish basically in playoff round where we need to have that extra game. We're gonna finish 9th from to 16th to 24th in that spot, and we will have to play 2 extra games. And in that bracket, by the way, there are teams like Bayer Leverkusen, like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and teams like that. So if we get any of those teams, if we finish outside top 8, it might be very long games, and we could be out of Champions League early. That is a big, big possibility, at the moment at least. Anyhow, apparently United and Arsenal are still interested in Leroy Sané. I have no idea why, because I have no idea what Arteta is doing. Is he really trying to rebuild like attacking 3 of Sterling, Jesus and Sané? Does he really think it's like 2019 or something like that they will play? They will play together like a charm and we're gonna win the league with them or what? It's like he's building X-Man City team, it feels like. Like, what is he even thinking about this? Like, what is he even thinking about looking at him? But there are some more news, more striker news for Arsenal. Apparently Benjamin Šeško seriously considered joining Arsenal this summer but hesitated, unsure he'd secure a regular spot in the starting 11. The Gunners made it clear he wouldn't be guaranteed playing time over Kai Havertz. So you wanna tell me that we basically, what Arteta said in this instance, because this 100% is Arteta's decision, that Havertz is gonna be our number 1, he's gonna lead the line, and he's gonna be the reason why, pretty much, we win the Premier League or something else. So basically that's what they're saying. They technically have the trust in him. The top Gunners as well apparently have a trust in him, saying that he's gonna score 20 Premier League goals. So far, where? He has scored goals at home. Since as soon as he's away from home, he cannot score apparently. He can't do anything. We as a team cannot score goals. For me, I don't see how and why you would suggest that Havertz has any indication he should be starting over Šeško. Genuinely, I don't. Yes, Šeško isn't the greatest signing. Would I want him at Arsenal? No, I wouldn't at the moment. But let's be real. Arsenal fan expectations is to sign Isak or Gyökeres or someone like that. But the reality is we're gonna be ending up with a Šeško or Furuhashi or someone like that. Let's be real. That is what sounds very, very Arsenal to me. But the fact that Arsenal, in terms of this, and Arteta said to him that Havertz is gonna be main number 1 striker, already shows to me that this guy is not serious. Playing Havertz basically means that he's gonna die by that sword. He spent 65 million on him. He needs to justify spending 65 million on him. And it looks like Havertz for Mikel Arteta is gonna sword that he's gonna fight himself to the glory with him, or he's gonna die by it. And for me, since Havertz signed, for me it was he's gonna die by that sword. So basically for me it's just a matter of time until the penny drops and everything basically shit hits the fan. Just the biggest question is when it's gonna happen. It's just, generally for me, it's just a matter of time. Nothing more, nothing less. Just a goddamn matter of time. In other news, of course, yesterday some news came out. Give me a sec, I need to switch the screens and everything. Give me a mini second here. In other news, obviously, as soon as Edu left, Arsenal needed to do something with the PR. Let's be real, and they instantly pushed out the fact that Odegaard is back. Sorry, but of course, as it's Arsenal, it's 1-for-1 trade. As soon as Odegaard technically is back, Kai Havertz doesn't fly to Italy. Arteta said that he had an injury during the game against Newcastle, but he played through it. And they're gonna assess him on Thursday, basically today. And apparently, according to Sam Mogbell, it's pretty much been confirmed that Declan Rice has suffered a broken toe. A broken goddamn toe. No idea how you even do that, unless you step on someone steps on you. He will be assessed in the next 48 hours, so basically till Saturday, let's be real. They will decide before the game. But playing with a broken toe, I've done that, and it's hell on earth. Unless you have some injections and everything. So Rice could yet play against Chelsea on Sunday, particularly given the magnitude of the game following a run of 3 league matches without a win. And 4 overall, let's be real. And Arsenal are the team that lose games in clusters. Remember last year we went 1-7. In December we went 1-7, and we even haven't gotten until December. Until Boxing Day and games like that. 2 seasons ago as well, it wasn't one big cluster, we lost games in 2 clusters and then some odd losses here or there. Which means Arsenal might be hitting that cluster right now. Obviously after that cluster we kicked on and basically went 14 1-1. Will it gonna happen again? I don't think so. We might see another cluster of losses in my opinion. I know I'm sounding very negative today, very pessimistic, but at the moment, given how Arsenal are making me feel, the way they're playing and what they are displaying on the pitch, I genuinely don't know how to feel otherwise. Yes, you could say, oh, feel positive and everything, but that would be fake. That genuinely would be fake, and I don't want to fake my emotions. At the moment, I don't have trust and belief that Arsenal will win the league. I don't think they will. Even before the season began, I predicted that they won't win the league. At the moment, for me, Arsenal is in the top 4 race. It can change if we do the proper things in the transfer market in January. Based on our past experiences, will we? Most likely not, let's be real. The big question for me is, how long is Declan Rice out for? Because apparently, Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka both have been called up to England international duty during this international break. So if you have that broken toe, how on earth you gonna play for England, huh? How on earth are you going to play for England? Explain it to me someone. How are you gonna play when you're injured? How you actually are going to do that? Someone, can you please explain it to me or not? But on Benjamin Šeško deal, obviously it fell through in January because Arteta said that Havertz is his number 1 and he will not play Šeško. But apparently Šeško currently has a buyout clause at 55 million. With the Gunners monitoring his progress closely ahead of next 2 transfer windows. So basically Arsenal are looking for a striker to sign in January, potentially. But again, it's a player that I would say 80% of fan base doesn't want. And if Arsenal keep playing this way, it will go to a point where basically quite big part of fan base will say, I don't care who you get up front, just get someone, because Havertz is not it. And I think, how to say this? I'm not sure it's gonna work. Arsenal can monitor Šeško as much as they want. Let's be real. The thing is though, he rejected us in summer by saying by Arteta saying that Havertz is number 1. So the only chance of us signing him, in my opinion, in my eyes at the moment, is the fact that you guarantee him proper minutes, one of the main role, if not one of the main roles in attack, and basically Havertz holds the bench. Because I don't want to see Havertz in midfield whatsoever. But if we sign Šeško, given our midfield issues many times, there is a big possibility we might return to seeing Kai Havertz in the midfield. And that is something I genuinely do not want to see. Now, and here is the big thing. David Ornstein today tweeted out a massive post and all that stuff. And here it is. Edu bid farewell to Arsenal in gathering of players and staff at training ground on Tuesday, so 2 days ago. 46-year-old to serve 6-month notice period / gardening leave, which basically means it's a conflict of interest for him to represent at the moment Nottingham Forest because he's still employed by Arsenal. Which means for 6 months he's gonna sit on his ass and do nothing pretty much. And Arsenal is gonna pay Arsenal are going to pay him. Which again, on top of that means that there must be some falling out. Because if Edu basically, how it looks from the outside, has given up of the project. And that can happen only in 2 reasons. Either he has lost faith in it, which I don't see it being the case if you, like a month ago, said you will be excited, trust the process, everything is gonna go bang and all that stuff. Or, the second is, there has been falling out and he doesn't feel like he's been respected up there in hierarchy. Because we all know that Mikel Arteta's new contract includes increased roles in certain aspects. He has arguably the final decision in making who we're gonna sign as a sporting director now. And he's also one of the main guys who's calling all the shots at Arsenal. He has basically, it's a dictatorship, it's Arteta's dictatorship, and he's calling all the shots. That's what basically it is at the moment. Which means, basically, Edu wasn't satisfied with that. It looks like basically there was a massive falling out and they tried to mask it just simply by sending him to another job. Obviously in summer there was some interest from Nottingham Forest. Nobody thought it was real, but it actually was real and it's now coming to fruition, of course. But Arsenal are very good at this stuff. We terminated contract with Willian, mutual, but still. We did that with Aubameyang, with Guendouzi partially, with Nicolas Pepe. We have done it on multiple occasions. And why not? Why not do it now with sporting director as well? We are actually a proper shit show. I genuinely believe that Edu has given up of the project mostly because he didn't feel respected in the hierarchy, because I think he presents certain players and Arteta said, bug off, I want these players. So he felt kind of like he might have felt it's waste of time to kind of scouting them. But let's not forget, Edu has wasted a lot of money at Arsenal. He fired the whole scout squad that got us Saliba and players like that. So he's at fault at quite a bit of things. And I don't care that he has left. But the way he has left has pretty much more indications of the fact that there has been falling out in hierarchy. The same thing that when we signed Merino. Hierarchy didn't want Merino, but Arteta pushed for it because Arteta wanted him. It's looking like a very awful signing. And it looks like the board, in this instance, it looks like Edu was right. And Arteta basically got his toy that he wanted. And I think that is also one of the reasons why Edu is leaving. Because Arteta, in my opinion, personal as well, has way too much power at Arsenal. He is becoming Arsenal. They might as rename Arsenal Arteta FC pretty much at the moment. And that is generally not a good thing. Because no person is bigger than the club. No one. And at the moment, it looks like they're trying to make Arteta just as big as the club. And that can only lead in one direction, and that will be a very unpleasant and very rough one. I'm not gonna lie. More about Gyökeres. Apparently Chelsea are still interested, of course Arsenal, and United could take him as well with Amorim there. Now, if we talk about Šeško, we spoke on him a bit already, with the fact that he rejected us because Arteta told him that Havertz would be the main striker and they wouldn't give him minutes. He has 55 million release clauses at the moment still. And apparently Arsenal still retain interest in him. 55 million release clauses. They're monitoring him closely for the next 2 transfer markets. For January and summer, of course. Šeško it is understood gave serious consideration towards joining Arsenal this summer, but held reservations over whether he would not get regular time in starting 11. Of course, if Arteta says Havertz is his number one guy, he's basically gonna live or die by that sword, and it looks like he's gonna basically go by that sword, and it's not gonna be a very pretty outcome. Why would Šeško come? Why would Šeško come if basically, ultimately, end of the day, everyone has told him, well, Havertz is our main guy? Why would he? Like, would you go? Would you go there? Would you go as a chef to a restaurant where you technically should be a main chef, but they say, oh, the sous chef is gonna be main chef, and you as a main chef will gonna be his sous chef? Why would you do that? Why would you lower yourself? Why would you lower your standards for something? Like, seriously, because for Arsenal, the way we play, the way Arteta is making substitutions, it doesn't look like Havertz ever is gonna get subbed off, because he gets subbed off very rarely, genuinely. And he's a space invader, basically. He's from space, he's an alien. Well, he likes donkeys, so maybe he's a donkey invader. Well, that came out wrong. Never mind. But yeah, like, with the club making clear he would not be guaranteed to play ahead of Havertz. That's the thing. That is the thing why Šeško rejected us. And it makes sense. I would reject Arsenal as well. Even as, if I was an Arsenal fan from childhood, I generally would give my arm and a leg to play for Arsenal. Let's be real. But if I was one of them up and coming strikers, well, he doesn't bag goals consistently, but I would go to a club where their main guy basically is a wannabe striker who cannot score goals and is very streaky, is not consistent enough, and is good only at running pretty much, and even that does very weirdly at times. And they tell me that I would not be playing in front of him, I wouldn't go there as well, let's be real. Why would I basically lower my standards? Yes, I go to a bigger team, but I much rather play for a smaller club than hold the bench in a big team, let's be real. Because if it's Man City, it's a different story, because Man City actually win titles. For Arsenal, they have won fuck all. Why would I go there at the moment? Oh, you can be a part of the project. What project? One of the main faces of the project, in Edu Gaspar, has ditched the project. He has left a sinking ship at the moment. That is the case. Why would he go there? Especially if Arteta says that Havertz is going to start in front of him. Why would he put himself through that? Why? It makes legitimately zero sense whatsoever. So, it is what it is, I guess. Let me know what you think as well on that. But basically, it is hell on earth at the moment at Arsenal. There are no excuses for Sunday. Let's be real, my camera is again doing a madness. I'm very sorry about that. But there's no excuses for Sunday. It's a must-win game. If we don't, even a draw is an awful result. And looking at Chelsea, the way they play, the way they're doing, and the way we play, it's very slim odds at the moment for Arsenal. Because last year we went to Bridge, they were controlling game, they were 2-0 up, everyone was going their way. Sanchez made one mistake, bend it like Declan, and makes it 2-1. Then one cross and Trossard makes it 2-2, and we basically leave the game at 2-2, and we basically get a draw playing awfully. This season, we play even worse than last season at the moment. And do I have any trust now that we're gonna turn things around and all of a sudden be this attacking, expansive, energetic, exciting team like we used to be 2 years ago when we played? No, I don't. There is still obviously some question marks about Cole Palmer. We're gonna speak on Chelsea's preview either tomorrow or Saturday, most likely tomorrow I would assume. However, we might speak also on Saturday, I don't know at the moment. But yeah. So we'll see what's that, because we beat Chelsea 5-0 when Cole Palmer wasn't playing. So if we could actually shut down Cole Palmer, we maybe have a chance. But then again, with our toothless attack, I'm even not sure. Yes, Chelsea's defense is shaky. Yes, they're not the best defense. But currently, arguably, they have the best midfielder on form in the league in Caicedo. Jackson is bagging goals. Madueke he's not good. For me, he's not a baller, but he's doing well for them at the moment. Mudryk is, well, it's Mudryk. Nkunku 50-50, Pedro Neto 50-50, but they have players. They have Enzo. It looks like he might leave actually in January, but who knows, maybe in summer. But yeah, they have actually some decent players. If they are on form and we are not ready, they will run circles around us. Let's be real, let's not beat around the bush. Last time we've placed Caicedo when he was one of the best informed players in the league, it was against Brighton. And Brighton won that game 3-0. They absolutely destroyed us. So, and our midfield doesn't like when they get physical with us. Pause, by the way, not like that. But our midfield, as soon as you get rough physical against them, they don't like it. They don't like it whatsoever. We've seen that against Lavia, against Onana. They single-handedly have run all over our midfield when they played even for Everton and things like that. So definitely it might be very big game. Very, very heavy game, especially with Declan Rice's broken toe injury. Maybe Odegaard will play, but let's be real, he has just come back. So genuinely I wouldn't expect him basically lifting mountains and stuff like that. But I guess it is what it is. We will have to wait and see. We'll have to sit tight and wait and see. But at the moment, I'm not gonna lie, the way Arsenal are playing, it's a no-go. It's a no-go, it's a no-show. And not gonna lie, I don't know what to expect. At the moment, I generally don't know what to expect from Arsenal. I have hope, a bit, that Arsenal might change, Arteta might change. But that is basically... Hope basically is a coping mechanism for fools in a way. In these instances, at least for me. Because I know Arsenal. I know how they have played for the last 4 games. For us to change, Arteta needs to change. And we all know Arteta is very stubborn and it's his way or the highway. So at the moment, I have no expectations. Plus Arteta has the nerve to come out and say, we played a great game against Inter. If we play like that against Chelsea, 100% we will win. Keep that in mind when the final whistle blows against Chelsea and it's 1-1 or we have lost 2-1. Just keep that in mind. Might as well be 2-0. We actually cannot score many. I mean, we haven't scored for quite some time. So it will be very interesting to see. Obviously, we're going to have a preview for that, I think tomorrow most likely. Yeah, but for today, I'm going to be signing out. It's edging closer to midnight nearly. 11 p.m. So yeah, take care. Stay safe. If you're new around here, like, comment, subscribe, hit all that stuff. If you're watching this as a playback, leave a comment down below. I'm gonna answer to those. Take care, stay safe, have a great Thursday. See you all tomorrow. Enjoy Friday and take care. And I don't know even what to say. One thing I will say. Arteta out.